I know because I stood in the rain at Beechwood Cemetery while they played the last post. I know because I watched them fold the maple leaf flag and place it in my trembling hands. I know because I identified what little remained of her after the IED tore through her convoy outside Kandahar. My wife, Rebecca, died serving her country 15 years ago. That's what they told me. That's what I believed. That's what I had to accept because the alternative was madness. February 2011. The knock on the door came at 4:47 inches the morning. I remember because I was staring at the clock, unable to sleep, the way I always did when Rebecca was deployed. 2 officers in dress uniform. Their faces said everything before their mouths opened. Major Rebecca Chen, age 38, killed in action. The words felt like they were happening to someone else, in some other house, in some other terrible version of reality. Our daughter Emma was 13 then. I had to wake her up and destroy her world with 6 words. Your mother isn't coming home, sweetheart. The funeral was massive, full military honors. Rebecca had been a respected logistics officer, organizing supply routes and humanitarian missions. 300 people came. Emma wouldn't look at the casket. She kept asking me if I was sure, absolutely sure, that Mom was really in there. I told her yes because that's what they told me. The height matched. The dental records matched, they said. A birthmark on her right shoulder blade. Everything matched. But Emma's question haunted me for years. How could I be sure? There wasn't much left to identify after the explosion. They showed me photos. I nodded. I signed papers. What else could I do? Demand to see more? Demand certainty when certainty was impossible? Life after Rebecca was a slow drowning. I was 47 years old, and suddenly a single father to a teenage girl who needed her mother. I taught history at Ridgemont High School in Ottawa. Rebecca had been the strong one, the decisive one, the one who knew what to say when Emma came home crying about boys or friends or the terrifying prospect of growing up. I just had lectures about the War of 1812, and awkward attempts at comfort. Emma threw herself into school, straight as, track team, student council. She built a wall of achievement around her grief, and I couldn't break through. We had dinner together every night at 6 o'clock because that's what Rebecca would have wanted, but we barely spoke. What do you say when the person you both loved most is gone? I kept Rebecca's things exactly as she left them. Her uniform hung in the closet. Her coffee mug sat in the cupboard, the one with the Canadian Armed Forces crest she'd bought at the canteen in Petawawa. Her side of the bathroom counter still held her moisturizer and the cheap drugstore lipstick she always wore. Emma would sometimes go into our bedroom, close the door, and I'd hear her crying in there, surrounded by her mother's ghost. The years ground forward. Emma graduated high school with honors, got accepted to the University of Toronto for engineering. She was brilliant, driven, everything Rebecca had been, but she was also angry in a way that scared me. Angry at the world for taking her mother. Angry at the military for sending Rebecca into danger. Angry at me for not being enough. She left for university and our phone calls became weekly obligations. How's school? Fine. How are your classes? Good. Are you eating enough? Yes, Dad. The wall got higher. I retired from teaching last year at 62. The house felt enormous and empty. I'd walk past Emma's old room, now a guest room that never had guests, and then past the bedroom I'd slept in alone for 15 years. Some mornings I'd forget Rebecca was gone. I'd roll over to tell her something and find empty space. The grief never really leaves. You just learn to carry it better. Emma came home for Christmas last year. She was 28 now, working as a civil engineer in Toronto, designing bridges and infrastructure. She had Rebecca's sharp mind and careful hands. She also had Rebecca's stubborn independence and refusal to show weakness. We had a pleasant, polite, distant Christmas. She left on Boxing Day. 3 weeks ago, on January 20th, 2026, I got a package in the mail. I wasn't expecting anything. The mailman knocked instead of just leaving it because it required a signature. Standard brown envelope, priority post, no return address. My hands shook as I signed for it. There's something about unexpected mail that triggers old fears. Ever since that morning in 2011, every knock on the door makes my heart stop. Inside was a smaller envelope, cushioned by bubble wrap. I sat down at the kitchen table before opening it. Inside, that was a simple silver chain, Rebecca's necklace, the one I'd given her for our 10th wedding anniversary. A small compass pendant because I'd told her she was my true north, and she'd rolled her eyes and called me a sentimental old fool, but wore it every single day after that. The necklace I'd been told was lost in the explosion. My vision went blurry. I blinked hard. Underneath the necklace was a note, handwritten on plain paper, the penmanship shaky but unmistakable. David, I never stopped fighting to get back to you and Emma. I know this will sound impossible. I know you buried someone 15 years ago. It wasn't me. I'm alive. I'm in Ottawa. I'm at the Pearly Rideau Veterans Health Center. Please come. I understand if you can't believe this. I understand if you think this is cruel. But I swear on everything we built together, it's really me, your Rebecca. I dropped the note like it had burned me. This was impossible. This was someone's sick joke. Some scammer who'd somehow gotten Rebecca's necklace and thought they could extort money from a grieving widower. People are capable of terrible things. I'd learned that 15 years ago when my wife died for nothing in a war that accomplished nothing. But the handwriting. I went to the study and pulled out old birthday cards, letters Rebecca had sent during previous deployments. I laid them next to the note. The slant was the same, the way she crossed her T's, looping slightly left, the little flourish on her capital R. My hands trembled so badly I could barely hold the papers. I called Emma, got her voicemail. Emma, it's Dad. I need you to call me back as soon as you get this. It's important. It's about your mother. Then I sat at that kitchen table and stared at the note for 3 hours. My mind was a war zone. Hope and fear and anger and desperate, dangerous possibility all fighting for control. What if this was real? What if Rebecca was alive? What if I'd spent 15 years mourning someone who wasn't dead? And what if I went to that hospital and found some stranger, some con artist who would take my hope and crush it all over again? Emma called back at 11 p.m. Dad, what's wrong? What about Mom? I told her about the package. She went silent for so long I thought the call had dropped. Dad. Her voice was careful, controlled, the voice of someone talking to a person on a ledge. You know this can't be real. The necklace is real. Someone could have taken it. Someone could have found it. There are terrible people who do terrible things. The handwriting. Emma. People can forge handwriting. Dad, I know you miss her. I know this time of year is hard. It's hard for me too. But you can't let some sick person manipulate you like this. What if it's true? Silence. Then, Mom is dead. We buried her. We got the flag. The military doesn't make mistakes like that. What if they did? Dad. Her voice broke. Please don't do this. Please don't let someone hurt you like this. I can't watch you go through losing her again. But I could hear it. Underneath the fear and the certainty, I could hear the same desperate hope that was tearing me apart. I have to go to the hospital, I said. I have to know. Then, I'm coming home. Don't go without me. Promise me you won't go without me. Emma, you don't have to. Promise me. I promise. She took the first train from Toronto the next morning. I picked her up at the station. She looked exhausted, her engineer's practicality warring with something raw in her eyes. We didn't speak much on the drive home. What was there to say? That evening, sitting in the living room with tea, neither of us drank, she said, "Show me the note again." I gave it to her. She studied it for a long time. Her hands were shaking. "That's Mom's handwriting," she whispered. "I used to have her write notes from my lunchbox. I'd know that R anywhere. So what do we do?" She looked at me with Rebecca's eyes. "We go to the hospital. Tomorrow. Together. And if this is someone trying to scam us, if this is someone trying to hurt us, they're going to wish they hadn't. But if there's even a chance, even the smallest possibility." Her voice cracked. "We have to know." The Pearly Rideau Veterans Health Center sits in the east end of Ottawa, a sprawling complex that's been caring for veterans since 1946. I'd driven past it 1,000 times and never gone in, never had a reason to. Rebecca wasn't sick. Rebecca was dead. Emma and I walked through those doors on January 23rd at 2 in the afternoon. The woman at the front desk looked up with a kind smile. "We're here to see a patient," I said, and my voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. "Rebecca Chen." The woman's smile faltered. She typed something into her computer, frowned, typed again. "I don't have anyone by that name registered." My heart sank through the floor. Of course it was fake. Of course someone had played the cruelest possible trick. Then the woman said, "Wait, do you mean Rebecca Forsyth?" She was admitted under her maiden name, Forsyth, Rebecca's maiden name, the name on her birth certificate, before we got married 25 years ago at a small ceremony in Quebec City. Yes, Emma said, before I could speak. Rebecca Forsyth, room 347. But I should let you know, she's been quite. The doctors aren't sure about her condition. She has significant memory issues and trauma. Are you family? I'm her husband. This is her daughter. The woman's eyes went wide. She picked up the phone. Let me call the supervising doctor. Doctor, Morrison will want to speak with you before you see her. We waited in a small conference room. Emma sat rigid beside me, her hands clenched into fists. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. Dr. Morrison was a woman in her 50s with tired eyes, and the kind of calm competence you only get from years of impossible situations. She sat across from us and folded her hands on the table. Mr. Chen, Emma, I'm going to tell you something that's going to be very difficult to hear. The woman in room 347 was brought to us 6 weeks ago by the Canadian Red Cross. She was found in a refugee camp in Jordan, having been transferred there from Syria. She was severely malnourished, suffering from PTSD, and had sustained significant injuries over many years. She also had almost no memory of who she was. How did you identify her? Emma asked, her voice laser-focused, engineering mode. Over the past month, with therapy and medical care, fragments have returned. She remembered her name. She remembered being in the military. She had this necklace that she protected obsessively. She insisted that it was proof she needed to get home, that someone was waiting for her. When we finally got her stable enough to check military records, we found. Dr. Morrison paused. We found her listed as killed in action in 2011. That's impossible, I said. We identified the body. The military confirmed it. The military made a mistake, a catastrophic one. Doctor, Morrison's voice was gentle but firm. After the IED explosion in Kandahar, there were multiple casualties. The scene was chaotic. In the confusion, Rebecca was listed as killed when she was actually captured by insurgent forces. Another woman, a civilian contractor of similar build and description, was killed in the blast. That's who you buried. The room tilted. Emma grabbed my arm. For the past 15 years, Dr. Morrison continued, Rebecca has been held captive, moved between groups, traded like property. The physical and psychological trauma is extensive. She escaped approximately 2 months ago during a transfer, made her way to a refugee camp, and eventually the Red Cross identified her as a Canadian citizen. But Mr. Chen, Emma, you need to understand, the woman upstairs has been through unimaginable horrors. She's not the same person she was 15 years ago. She may never fully be that person again. I couldn't breathe. 15 years. Rebecca had been alive for 15 years, suffering, captive, while I taught history classes and Emma went to university, and we both learned to live without her, while she was tortured and traded and fighting to survive. Can we see her? My voice barely worked. Dr. Morrison nodded. She's been asking for you. She was terrified you wouldn't believe the note, that you'd think it was a hoax. But I have to warn you, prepare yourselves. She's physically frail. She has scars. She may not react the way you expect. Trauma changes people. We followed Dr. Morrison down antiseptic hallways, past rooms full of elderly veterans watching television and playing cards, up an elevator, down another hallway. Each step felt like walking through water. Room 347. Dr. Morrison knocked softly and opened the door. The woman sitting in the chair by the window was not my wife. That was my first thought. This was a stranger, someone who looked vaguely familiar but couldn't possibly be Rebecca. She was too thin, her face gaunt and marked with old scars. Her hair, which had been thick and black, was now streaked with gray and cut short. She wore simple hospital clothes, and her hands were wrapped around a cup of tea like it was a lifeline. But then she looked up, and I saw her eyes. Dark brown, intelligent, fierce even through the damage. Rebecca's eyes. David? Her voice was hoarse, uncertain. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. Emma made a sound beside me, somewhere between a sob and a gasp. Rebecca stood up slowly, like she wasn't sure her legs would hold her. She looked at Emma, and tears started streaming down her face. Oh my God. Emma, you're so grown up. You're so beautiful. Mom? Emma's voice was a child's voice, small and broken. "It's me, sweetheart. It's really me." And then Emma was across the room, and Rebecca was holding her, and they were both crying and saying things that didn't make sense, just fragments of sound and love and 15 years of impossible grief. I stood frozen in the doorway. Dr. Morrison touched my arm gently. "Take your time." Rebecca looked at me over Emma's shoulder. Our eyes met. 15 years collapsed into nothing and everything all at once. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I tried so hard to get back to you. I tried every single day. I don't remember walking across the room. I don't remember deciding to move. But suddenly I was there, my arms around both of them, holding my wife and daughter, feeling Rebecca's heartbeat against my chest, real and alive and impossible. "How?" I managed to ask. "How did you survive?" "You," she said simply. "Both of you. Every day, I told myself I had to get back to you, that you were waiting for me, that Emma needed her mother. It was the only thing that kept me going." We stayed like that for a long time. Eventually, we sat down, and Rebecca told us what she could remember. The explosion, waking up in darkness, in pain, with insurgent fighters standing over her, being moved from place to place, kept with other hostages at first, then alone, the years blurring together, escape attempts that failed, punishments, the slow erosion of hope, and then the desperate clutching back to it. She'd lost chunks of time to trauma, couldn't remember certain years at all. The doctor said it might come back or it might not, but she remembered us. She'd held on to us through everything. "I thought about Emma's graduation," Rebecca said, crying again. "I missed it. I missed everything. What did she study? Where did she go to school?" "Engineering," Emma said. "U of T. I'm designing bridges now." Rebecca laughed through her tears. "Of course you are. You were always building things when you were little. Remember those block towers?" "I remember." They talked for hours. Emma filling in 15 years of life. Rebecca listening with hunger, asking questions, soaking up every detail. I mostly stayed quiet, just watching. My wife was alive. My wife was here. But she was also broken in ways I couldn't fix, scarred in ways I couldn't see. Around 7 p.m., Rebecca started fading. The doctor said she tired easily, needed rest. We promised to come back tomorrow. Emma hugged her mother like she might disappear. "Don't leave again," Emma whispered. "Please don't leave again." "Never," Rebecca promised. "I'm home now. I'm finally home." In the parking lot, Emma completely broke down. I held her while she sobbed, all the grief of 15 years pouring out. "She's alive, Dad. She's actually alive. How is that possible? How is any of this possible? I don't know. But she is. She's here. What do we do now?" It was a good question. What do you do when the dead come back to life? How do you integrate 15 years of absence into the present? Over the next few weeks, we figured it out slowly. Emma took a leave from work, moved back home temporarily. We visited Rebecca every day, sometimes for hours, sometimes just briefly when she was having bad days. The PTSD was severe. She had nightmares, panic attacks, days where she couldn't remember where she was or who we were. But she fought. God, she fought so hard. Physical therapy to rebuild muscle mass. Therapy for the trauma. Meetings with military investigators trying to piece together what happened. The Canadian Armed Forces was launching a full investigation into how such a catastrophic error had occurred, how a soldier had been left behind, declared dead, forgotten. The media got wind of the story. It became a national scandal. Major Rebecca Chen, the soldier who came back from the dead. News vans parked outside the hospital. Reporters called my house. The military brass issued formal apologies. There was talk of compensation, of accountability, of how this could never happen again. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted my wife back. In March, Rebecca was discharged from the hospital. She moved into our house, into the bedroom she'd left 15 years ago. It was strange at first. We'd both changed. I was an old man now, retired and slow. She was traumatized and fragile. We had to relearn each other. Some nights she'd wake up screaming, and I'd hold her until the nightmares passed. She'd tell me she was sorry, that she was broken, that I shouldn't have to deal with this. I'd tell her I'd waited 15 years. I could wait longer. Emma struggled too. She'd spent half her life without a mother, had built her identity around being the strong one, the independent one. Now her mother was back, but different, damaged. They had to build a new relationship, Sometimes it was beautiful. Sometimes it was hard. Emma would get frustrated when Rebecca couldn't remember things, when the PTSD made her react badly to normal situations. But they worked at it. Because love isn't just the easy moments. Love is showing up when things are hard, when people are broken, when there are no simple answers. One evening in late April, the three of us were sitting in the backyard. Spring was coming, the first warm day after a long winter. Rebecca was getting stronger, could walk without assistance now, could go a few hours without panic. Emma had made dinner, and we'd eaten together like we used to 15 years ago. "I've been thinking," Rebecca said quietly, "about the woman who died in my place, about her family. I'd thought about this too. Somewhere out there was a family who'd buried who they thought was their daughter, their wife, their mother, who'd grieved for 15 years, who still didn't know the truth. The military is trying to identify her," I said. "They're going through records, trying to figure out which civilian contractor was there that day. When they find her family, I want to meet them," Rebecca said. "I need to tell them I'm sorry, that she died and I lived. That's not fair. It's not your fault. I know. But I still need to say it." That's who Rebecca was. Even after everything, even broken and traumatized, she was still thinking about others, still trying to do the right thing. That's why I'd fallen in love with her 25 years ago. That's why I loved her still. In May, the military identified the woman who died in Rebecca's place. Her name was Patricia Morrison. She'd been a logistics contractor, 41 years old, from Halifax. She'd left behind a husband and 2 teenage sons. The military had paid them death benefits 15 years ago for Patricia's death. Rebecca insisted on meeting them. The military arranged it, sent counselors, tried to make it as easy as possible. But how do you make something like that easy? We met the Morrison family at a military base in Halifax. Patricia's husband, James, was now 56, silver-haired and worn. His sons were grown men now, 32 and 30, both in the Navy like their mother had been connected to. It was the hardest thing I've ever watched. Rebecca, still thin and scarred, facing this family and saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry your mother died. I'm sorry they told you she was missing for years before finding remains. I'm sorry you didn't get to bury her properly until now. I'm sorry I'm alive, and she's not." James Morrison looked at her for a long time. Then he said, "It's not your fault. You didn't ask for this. Neither did Patricia. The military failed both of you, both our families. I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you made it home. Patricia would be glad too. She was that kind of person." They cried together. All of us did. 2 families connected by bureaucratic error and tragedy and the randomness of who lives and who dies. The military gave Patricia Morrison a proper funeral with full honors. We attended. Emma held Rebecca's hand through the whole service. It felt important to be there, to witness, to acknowledge that Patricia's life mattered, that her death 15 years ago had been real even if the identification had been wrong. Afterward, James Morrison came up to us. "Thank you for coming. And Rebecca, I want you to know something. The death benefits we received for Patricia, we used them to put our boys through school. They're both officers in the Navy now. Patricia's death, even though it was her, not you, it still meant something. It still mattered. Her sacrifice still meant something to our family." Rebecca nodded, tears streaming. "She deserves to be remembered. She deserves her name on the memorial, not mine." "She'll have both," James said. "We'll make sure of it." Life slowly found a new normal. Rebecca continued therapy, got stronger, had good days and bad days. She started volunteering at the Veterans Center, helping other people with PTSD. She said it helped her to help others, to find purpose again. Emma went back to work but visited often. She and Rebecca talked on the phone every few days. The relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real and growing. They were learning each other again. Rebecca and I were learning each other too. Dating at 63 years old, after being married for 10 years and separated for 15, is strange. We went to movies, took walks, talked for hours about everything and nothing. Sometimes she'd have flashbacks and I'd wait them out. Sometimes I'd get frustrated when she couldn't remember things from before. But we were patient with each other. One night in September, lying in bed, Rebecca said, "Do you ever wish things had been different? That I'd actually died instead of putting you through this?" "Never. Not for 1 second. I'm not who I was. Neither am I. We're different people now. But I still love you. I think I love you more, actually. How is that possible? Because I know what it took to survive. I know how strong you are. I know you fought for 15 years to get back to us. That's not the woman I married. That's someone even more incredible. She cried. But they were good tears. Last month, on the 15th anniversary of the day we'd been told Rebecca died, the three of us went to Beechwood Cemetery together. We stood at the plot where we'd thought Rebecca was buried, where Patricia Morrison had actually been resting. I used to come here every week, I told Rebecca. I'd talk to you, tell you about Emma, about school, about nothing. I'd sit here and cry and beg you to come back. I was trying, Rebecca said. Every single day, I was trying to get back to you. Emma put flowers on Patricia Morrison's actual grave, properly marked now. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for bringing our mother home, even if you didn't mean to. We stood there as a family, the three of us, alive against all odds, broken but healing, together. Here's what I've learned. The military makes mistakes. Bureaucracies fail. Sometimes people fall through cracks and are forgotten. If you have a loved one in service, stay vigilant. Ask questions. Don't accept easy answers. The system is supposed to protect our soldiers, but sometimes it doesn't. I've learned that grief doesn't have an expiration date, but neither does hope. That the human capacity to survive is extraordinary. That love, real love, endures through time and trauma and impossible circumstances. I've learned that the people who come back from war are never the same people who left. That trauma changes you in fundamental ways. That healing isn't linear, isn't complete, isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a daily choice. To keep going, to keep fighting, to keep choosing life. Most importantly, I've learned this. Don't let anyone tell you something is impossible. Don't let anyone tell you to give up hope. Don't let anyone tell you your loved one is gone if your heart tells you different. Because sometimes, just sometimes, the impossible happens. Sometimes people come home. Sometimes you get a second chance. Sometimes love wins against all odds. My wife was dead for 15 years. Now she's alive. We're building a new life together, day by day, moment by moment. It's not the life we had before. It's not easy, but it's real, and it's ours. And I'm grateful for every single day of it. Emma called this morning. She's engaged. She wants Rebecca to help her plan the wedding. Rebecca cried happy tears for an hour. I'm 63 years old. I'm married to a woman who came back from the dead. My daughter is getting married, and her mother will be there to see it. Life is strange and beautiful, and sometimes, impossibly, it gives you miracles when you least expect them. Never stop believing, never stop fighting, never stop hoping, because sometimes the ones you love find their way home.